In this video, I'll show you how to make the sketch that creates the solid that we see here. This solid is a revolve, and so we'll need an axis or a construction line. I'll show us how to create the sketch so that we can use the diameter dimensions that we see here. And I'll also look at fillets and chamfers that will be needed for this part. Let's get to it. First thing we'll do is open up a new part file. And since those dimensions were in millimeters, we'll click on a millimeter template. We're going to sketch in our front plane. So I'll choose Sketch, Front Plane. It rotates towards us. I'm going to turn my planes off. And I'm going to begin by creating my axis. I'm going to go under Line and Center Line. I'm going to create this. I'm going to start at the origin. For most of our revolves, you want to have a center line that passes through the origin. And so I'll create my line vertical. Even though we may not have a length on our center line, we can still see that we're fully defined. And that's because the length of a construction line does not define the part. It's only the position and orientation. I'll go into my line tool. I'm going to use my inference, and I'll start horizontal from my origin. Come to the bottom edge, go up. And now I'm going to have this arc, and what I'm going to do is I can press the A button, and I'll create my arc. And I'll go down, and down, and down, and down. I'll hit the escape button. I'll put my relations in. We want this line to be vertical. Notice how we have a tangent at one end of our arc, but usually it doesn't occur on the other end. And so I can just click on this point, and then we can see our flyout, and we'll click tangent. And now I'm going to go into my Smart Dimension tool. I'm going to use my right mouse button and move upward. Now we have a dimension from the bottom to the center of 50. We have a radius of 10. And this thickness right here, change it to 20. The only thing that we have missing is our dimensions for our outermost and our innermost radius, or our diameters. Now the outermost diameter is 150, and we may be tempted to create a dimension from that edge to the center line and type 75. But all I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to drag my cursor to the left, and that automatically pops in to be a diameter. So I can click on that, type 150, hit enter, and notice my cursor has D with a center line, meaning it's in the diameter dimension. Watch when I do the same thing with the inner diameter. The inner diameter was 30. Click on the inner, and it automatically goes to a diameter. It's as simple as that. I'm going to exit my dimension tool with my escape button, and then I'm going to go to Features, Revolve Boss Base, and since there's only one center line, it automatically knows what I want to revolve about. I can accept it, and I'll click my cursor somewhere else, and the sketch will not fully disappear, but just disappear from our view. Now that's almost what we had, but we want to put some fillets and chamfers in. We can add fillets and chamfers through our features, but I'll show us how to do it with a sketch. And sometimes one's better than the other. And sometimes it's better with a sketch, and sometimes it's better with a feature. You kind of have to decide. So I'm going to use my mouse gesture, go to my normal 2. So we'll go to Sketch Fillet, and we're given an option to change our dimension. I'll put 3, and I'll come and I'll click on this. I've got to hit enter, it's too big. There we go. And I'll hover over the corner, and I can select it, and I will. And then I'll accept it. We also have the inner fillet. It should be 6. And I can click on that point, or I can click on one line and the other line, and then right click and click OK. I can come under my chamfers, which is right under Sketch Fillet, Sketch Chamfer, and we have options to make them angle distance, or distance and equal distance. Distance is the same as angle distance in 45 degrees. We'll just do distance, equal distance. And these are a chamfer length of 4. I can't hover over the point with a chamfer for some reason, but I can go to one line, another line. It's going to give me an error stating that one of my sketch constraints is going to be lost. I'm going to click yes. And then I'm going to go and do the same top. When we look at our chamfers, we can see that we have what's called a link dimension. So I'm going to accept my chamfers, and I'm going to select this 4 and change it to 5. And notice how both of them will change, and that's because we created a chamfer with equal lengths. And so these two dimensions are linked. And those two dimensions are linked as well. We can click that to be 3, and both of them will be 3. As mentioned, we've lost a dimension, and that's because we lost that corner, so that 30 millimeter inside diameter was lost. But that's okay, because that gives us a good chance to look at this dimension tool again. So I'm going to go to my dimension tool using my mouse gestures. We've got to click the edge first. Then I click on the center line. Now, depending on where I put my mouse cursor, will it do a radius or a diameter? Typically, we want diameters because most of our dimensions are in diameters. So here we got 30. I'll left click, and then we should be back to fully defined here at the bottom. I'll accept my sketch. First of all, I've got to accept my dimension. Then I'm going to accept my sketch. I'll use my mouse gesture. Going to the top right, we have isometric. We have trimetric. And there's our object.